promise you that. But I have my bad habits. But what I started to do last year was to be conscious of my bad habits and to know that it's a bad habit. So even when I haven't started working on it just yet, I'm aware that, hey, Bisola, there's a way that you tend to do this thing, or there's a way you tend to approach this kind of work that does not necessarily serve you, right? And so even that consciousness of what my habits are that are not so great has also been very helpful, because it lets me know what my potential pitfalls are ahead of time and where I might need help, right? So if I were to just put it in two buckets, right? One is I have made a habit of leveraging my strength and truly leaning into my strength in very practical ways. And the second is being conscious of my habits, even the bad ones and the ones that tend to trip me up.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. Eziaha, you know, I'm looking at you like this. I was just about to, like, the street is so warm. I was just about to send you a message concerning what you just did. I was just about to send you a message, and I just saw you did. I'm like, how did you know that? Thank you so much. I'm telling you. Thank you so much, Bisola. Oh my goodness. Like, you know, now I'm always writing. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is awesome. And what I hear you say, you were saying something, you said there are habits that, that you leaned into your strengths as much as you had weaknesses, but you leaned into your strengths as a habit. So habit number one of the things I've gotten from this call, that leaning into your strength is a habit, because too often a lot of us are preoccupied trying to transfer our weaknesses or grow our weaknesses into strengths, such that we play down on our strengths. And the world does not pay or spotlight people who are trying to work their weaknesses. The world pays and spotlights people who are emphasizing and making known their strengths. So while we are saying, what I'm saying is that we're not saying don't work on your weaknesses. What we are saying is that you have strengths, lean in heavily on them and amplify them. You would not be good at everything, but there are some things that you are good at. And when you find those things that you're good at, please make it loud and don't be humble about it while you work on the weaknesses behind the scene. And this is what has helped Bisola, her strength of, responsibility. And I feel like that is a strength or a habit that we all should imbibe, because in this generation where the vast majority, we have democratized mediocrity. Let me put it the way our coach will put it. So everywhere, so excellence is like Louis Vuitton. Excellence is like, it's like you saw Messi. It's like Messi came to your house after he played. That's the way excellence is, I'm telling you. So it's so rare, such that even when you show 50% of excellence, you are just spotlighted. It's something you said, and I'd just like to reiterate for people on this call. It looks simple, but okay, I read it from your status, Eziaha. You said, how can adults not be reading emails in this 21st century? Like, how is it even possible? You're not reading your mails. These are the little things. And somebody who is not reading her mails has applied to 30 companies that she wants a job. You've applied to 30 companies that you want a job, and you're not reading your mail. Even Jesus will stand against you. I'm telling you, so that you will not embarrass him. Like, it's terrible. And it's something that we should look into. Look at what she said. She said, she reads her mail over and over again. The other day, I think it was 2 days ago, I was coming back with my husband from somewhere, and I was reading out a mail. I was like, can't you just read it? Say no. I said, no, if I read it in my mind, I will miss the omissions. I need to
read it out.
Like grammatical errors are pronounced when you really say it, and that's doing due diligence. So I want to encourage everybody on this call, give it your best shot. Every time you show up excellently. That's a habit to imbibe. And I want to ask you, Bisola, I just want to throw more weight on this question. It's like a lead question. Over the course of these 13 years, were there habits that you knew that you didn't have and you needed to imbibe? And if you did, how did you imbibe them? And how is it serving you today? Because I know that for every one of us, even me sitting here, there are habits. Like, okay, let me give you an example. You go into some companies, and a lot of companies are having values on placards or whatever on their wall that they wish they would have, not values that they have. No, I don't know if you understand what they say.
Yes, the future, the vision.
It's a goal. The value is a goal. They said, what are my values as a company? Say excellence, honesty,
Yeah.
integrity. Meanwhile, they are
Yeah.
changing people. So that means the integrity they go. I feel like we should
Yeah.
even have to, when you enter a company, say present values, future values. Like what we're working towards, like, but you get me, you get the drift.
I
You get the
get
drift.
you.
I
I
have
get
those
you.
words, but let me be sincere, I do it to myself. When I write
Yeah.
my values, I write values I'm presently, the realistic values I'm operating in now, and the values I'm working towards in the new year. And that brings me to the fact that most of us, when you look at, if I look at your goals, I can tell you the kind of person that you are. What are
Indeed.
your goals? One of my major goals sometimes is just value. I want to be a better person next year. I want to be a better listener. I want to be somebody who is more humane, anything like that. So you see, so a value can be a goal for the new year. So Bisola, please answer the question.
All right. So isn't it, you keep saying I have 13 years of experience? Not yet.
A bit 10 or 10
Eight.
or 8.
But yeah, it's all good.
Is the future.
It's the future. We're seeing it. All right. So I mean, I love that question, right? I mean, and it's the balance between the present and the future, right? The balance also between strengths, current strengths, and would I say development areas. And I'll give you an example. So I remember 2021, I think at the end of 2021, one of the feedback that I got from my manager was, so like at meetings, you don't speak up enough until you are absolutely certain you're right. But that many times people miss the opportunity to hear your voice because you are waiting until you're very sure. So that was the feedback that he gave me at the end of last year. And I started to work actively on it this year, right? I mean, it was slow progress, but I was getting better, putting my voice in the room and saying, oh, have you thought about this? Not waiting until the idea is fully formed. Now, it's funny because at my new place of work, one of the, it's actually values. So one of the values they have is, so they call it obligation to engage and obligation to dissent. Now, obligation to engage basically means that when you step into a meeting, right, you have an obligation to put your voice in the room. Mm-hmm. That's obligation to engage. Then there's an obligation to dissent, which means you have an obligation, if you disagree with something, put your voice in the room. Because everybody is there problem solving, right? You have an obligation to dissent. And so I saw this and I'm like, yes, this clearly for me does not come naturally because I'm a perfectionist, right? So I am going in and I'm like, oh my goodness, is this fully formed? Is it not, right? So when I saw that those were two values, and it wasn't a case of this is aspiration or development area, this is now like base case, this is what is expected of me. What did I start to do? So I know that the reason why I might not speak immediately is because I haven't fully formed my thoughts. So it means that for every meeting that I'm stepping into, I am doing my homework before, right? So that's the way I am now trying to build that value, by building a habit. So I have a meeting because the beautiful thing about this place is hardly would anybody schedule an impromptu meeting. At worst, you have one day. So even if it's 30 minutes, right, to say, okay, what are we discussing? What's the agenda? What are we problem solving? I try to do some prep work so that I am already coming in with at least with some thoughts, with some initial thoughts, right? And so I'm stepping away from that. So that's one part, actually doing some preparation, but then also stepping away from being a perfectionist, right? And understanding that even in those completely unformed thoughts, somebody else can take it and then say, hey, I hear what Bisola is saying. Why don't we phrase it that way? Yeah. So I see Perfectionist Anonymous in the group chat. Right. And so that is the way I'm building it into the habit. So now, in very practical terms, I look at my calendar. What meeting do I have the following day? Okay, so what are we discussing? Right? Is this a topic that I can effectively engage on or dissent? Right? And if it is not, what do I need to read before that meeting? To get to that point, especially because it's a new industry. Right, it's a new space for me. So it means I have to do a lot more prep work at this point until I get to a point where I'm a bit more comfortable, just being on the spot, thinker and all of that stuff. Yeah, so that's a very practical example of how I have done it. So maybe to now put it in summary, I would say identify that value that you are trying to imbibe. Right? Now think about what are the very practical steps that you need to take so that that value becomes a part of you? And then how can you build those steps into your daily habits, into your weekly habits, into your monthly habits, right? Into your monthly routine or calendar, whatever it might be.
So good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So good. So good. Thank you so much, Bisola. And what I hear you say is that you're putting in a lot of intentionality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Intentionality. That's what
You can't get anything without being intentional. I think we sometimes make the mistake that things would just happen. Right. And I'll give you an example of how I was having a conversation with God this evening, and God was kind of like pulling my ears. So I had this whole conversation around something I was struggling with a couple of months ago, and I had come across this really beautiful resource in a book that I was reading. And I came out of that, reading that book, feeling super energized and all. And then I closed the book, I moved on. And then I came back this evening, still struggling with the same. And I'm like, but I thought we had this conversation. I thought we had sorted this out. And God is like, oh, you think it's like Eziaha says, it's a one hit wonder. Like, it's not going to work that way. Right? Consistently, I need to have it in front of me. Consistently, I need to interact with it. Right? Consistently, I need to build reading that chapter of the book, either with creating a confession out of it or reading it often enough until it literally becomes a part of me. Right?
Yeah.
And that is when I will start to see the results.
Yeah.
Awesome. So good. So in other words, nothing just happens. If you like the habit, you need to also give yourself some grace, knowing that, you can't just wake up from one day to the next and you drop some habits. So you need to incorporate the habit. And that what leads me to my next question, and that's to Eziaha. How do you incorporate?
One second. So there's a question in the Q&A. I'm going to read it out so that
please
you
read it out.
Dr. Izini, let me just get in your business a little bit. So the person is asking, how do you balance leaning on strength and working on your weaknesses? How do you know when to focus on which? I think that's a powerful question and very practical. So yeah, Dr. Izini,
that's a very, very powerful question. And then it also speaks to intentionality both ways. So what are your strengths, first of all? Have them on the front burner and your weaknesses on the back burner.
How do they know their strengths? If I don't know my strength, how do I know my strengths?
It's so easy. Number one, study yourself. Number two, if you are too lazy to study yourself, take a strength finder test. You know what I mean? You're too lazy. Because a lot of us know, I usually say this to my women, that we know a lot about every other thing except ourselves, because sometimes it's difficult to know you. It's difficult to date you. It takes time to know you. It takes intentionality to know you. It takes solitude to know you. And if you're not willing to pay that price, you can take the shortcut, take a strength finder test. But even after taking that strength finder test, it will never really take the place of you dating me.
Yes.
Because I discovered something. When you come from a place of knowing you and take that test, there's a sense of power it gives you. You're not, because that test is weighty. It's weighty.
Yes.
It can almost throw you off balance. I don't even know how to explain it. So be to yourself. Know you. When you're doing the test, you'll be like, yes. You'll be like, I don't know, it'll be like you're walking in sync. It don't look like you're just sitting on a hot seat and somebody's just throwing, these are your strengths. Take it by force.
Yeah.
And there are times you do that strength finder test and you're like, I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
And then you really now have to sit down and reflect again, that is this really true? Yes.
Exactly. So please, you would really want to go on a date with yourself. And then that number one. And then number two, you can also ask people who are really very close to you, who will tell you the truth. Where are your strengths? Where do you really, what are your weaknesses? And to do this, you also have to develop emotional agility, so that if somebody tells you these are your weaknesses, you'll not be like, in fact, that's why I don't ask people things about my life. This is just the reason. I like to avoid insults. I like to avoid insults. I don't know who sent me. Even when I entered the webinar, that's why I don't like attending such webinar. I just said ask, and I didn't ask for insult. I just asked for information, but you get the drift. If somebody tells you these are your weaknesses, don't just take it as it is. And then, like, she's laughing. Put the weaknesses at the back burner, put the strengths at the front burner, and then focus on your strength. And then if you can get somebody to hold you accountable for both your strengths and majorly your weaknesses. The person like, no, I'm seeing it. And then create boundaries, because weaknesses are in different ways. So if you can put some certain things in place that will not let you lean into your weaknesses, depending on what those weaknesses are, it will also serve you. I don't know if I answered anybody's question here. Okay, somebody says the Gallup Clifton Strength Finder test was one of my best gifts to myself this year. I'm telling you, it helped me use my strengths more powerful. And you know what the Strength Finder test does for you also? It shows you who you should append yourself to per season. So if you're in a season that needs you to lean into your strength of, let me say, visioneering, you're somebody who gets people, get the job, like get people to buy up a vision. And you know that you are going to be doing many things in this season, but your weakness is disorganization. Then you just know that in this season, I must get somebody who is organized in my team, or I must get somebody who is organized in my life.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? And then you just put it together. And I remember that when I was getting married, I said, God, please, I want a man who I would not tell what to do with money, who just knows how to steward money, because I wasn't very good at managing money. So I needed somebody. You can't have two people in the house who don't know how to manage money. Was I going to work on managing money? Was I going to take courses to learn how to manage money? Yes. Was I going to, create new confessions mindset that would eradicate that very limiting paradigm for money? Yes. But while at it, uncle, whoever is coming to me, make sure that you don't have problem with money. You can't be having two people dealing with mindset problem. Allow me to be the one to be dealing with my own. Like, I don't know if am I speaking to somebody this evening? So that's how it is. So you get people to compliment you, basically. Such a powerful thing. I hope I answered your question. Who asked that question? Oh, yes. Otoye, please, I'm speaking to you. Can you copy the link for this meeting and send to Jennifer? She just sent me a message that she can't log in. I don't know why. So Otoye, please send it to Jennifer or put it in our group. Thank you so much, Otoye. Okay, thank you. So my next question goes to you, Eziaha, and that is, how do we incorporate habits into our new habits? Because, human beings, the human mind resists change, really. None of us really likes change. Change is uncomfortable. Change is not familiar. Change is not sweet. Change is not interesting. So how does somebody, okay, let me even use something that you relate with. How does somebody who snacks with ice cream, who snacks with what are those things now? But you know what I'm talking about. Wakes up and starts snacking on carrots and vegetables. How do you move from there to there?
Okay. I'll give you a couple of things. Number one, why? I think our whys are so powerful, and sometimes you have to do business with why. As a health coach, one of the first things I teach my clients, or my citizens, like I call them, is to give me a solid why. And your why has to be solid, robust, comprehensive, grounded, subjective, objective. It has to be real. So your why must be front and center. There's a concept in psychology called neuroplasticity. Basically, what it means is that your brain, I don't know, sometimes we think that your brain is just set. You're an adult, your brain is set. This is who you are. But no, your brain has the ability to change. Your brain can change. So it means that you've been doing this thing for so long. You've been snacking on ice cream for so long. You can actually change. That's the first thing to know. Know your why, then know that change is very possible. And one of the things that aids neuroplasticity is something called repetition. So you have your why in front of you. Maybe one of your whys that your doctor has given you a medical report. Like, hey, look at what is in front of you. Look at what is happening to you. Put that why front and center. And every day, just repeat your why to yourself. Repeat your why to yourself. Repeat your why. Now, don't only repeat your why. You repeat the habits, the opposite habits of that you're trying to change. In fact, before you start to think of repeating the habit, you want to eliminate options as much as possible, because there's really, really no need. There's really no need for you to try to change something in the midst of so much temptation. So you want to eliminate options. So let me take it away from weight loss and unhealthy eating, in case that's not your problem. So for example, your problem is waking up on time. You want to wake up on time, but you can't wake up on time because somehow you sleep in. Maybe one of the things you want to do is go back to check what time do you sleep? Because if it's not holistic, it's really not going to work. What time do you sleep? So you get into bed at 9 o'clock, but you get into bed with your phone, and then you keep chatting and chatting and chatting till about 12. And then you want to wake up at 5. 5 o'clock is not going to work. So eliminate the option, take away the phone option from your bed. You can decide that by 8 o'clock or by 9 o'clock, you switch off the phone, you give it to someone within your house. Accountability is powerful on any habit change. So repeat that habit, repeat your why. So everything I'm telling you requires, like B was saying, you can't just do it once and expect that it goes. No, you've been with this habit for such a long time. So continue to repeat and repeat and repeat. Repeat your why every morning. Take away options. Repeat that good thing that you're trying to start. Repeat and repeat. So even if maybe you want to, let's use the carrot example. You're trying to inculcate better eating habits. You don't have to eat like a whole bag of carrots, even if it's just a little, of which this example of ice cream to carrots is not a very equal one, because we're not telling you, oh, never eat ice cream, start eating carrots. It might just be a case of eliminate the ice cream. It might not be carrots. So continue to do it. Don't even feel like you failed because it did not work. We have to repeat and repeat. The more you repeat your why, repeat the action, repeat it, take away options, and just keep repeating. One day, your brain is going to get to a point, and that is actually called automaticity, when you realize that automatically you're just doing it. But you can't just wake up one day and suddenly you start to wake up at 5 o'clock, or you start to enjoy healthier eating. You've put your why front and center, you've eliminated options, and you have just been repeating that thing you're trying to do. And one day you realize that is actually easy, and that's something that there's science to prove it. Then there are people that can prove this thing to you too. That I was one way before, and now I'm another way. And the thing that happened in between, yes, was Jesus, but it's also the fact that we continue to repeat it until we get to a point where it's now automatic.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Eziaha. That's just so good. So basically, you're saying if there's something triggering the habit that you don't desire, you take it out.
Yep.
And there's something that can trigger the habit that you desire, you bring it in. And somebody's asking, what are some, I think you've answered that question, but maybe I'll lean into it more. What are some practical steps you can use to consistency? I'll underline practical. And I'm going to share my own story with you. You can leverage technology. So take, for example, my alarm rings every day at a particular time, waking me up to pray. And sometimes I wake up, most times, let me not say sometimes, most times. And sometimes I'm like, this alarm, just see, I'll just switch off the phone. So show yourself some grace. Don't be too hard on yourself on this journey, because it took you time to get to where you are. It will also take you time to get to where you want to be. So you want to show yourself some grace. And so when that alarm rings, alarm ringing is not enough. So I want to pray. So I'm incorporating the habit of learning to pray, like for staying for long in the place of prayer. So I put on a worship song. I was just sharing with them earlier that in fact, I'm sure that YouTube video be like, who is this person? Every day, you are playing me, I'm tired, leave me alone. I said, I can't leave you alone because you are my cue. Because in habit formation, you have three things. You have the cue, you have the routine, and then you have the cue, routine, and the reward. Do you understand? So there's a cue. When you're incorporating a new habit, there's a cue, there's a routine, and then there's a reward. So take, for example, I really want to pray. And to pray, I need to wake up early. Do you understand? So what's the cue? The cue is my alarm clock. Once it rings, that's the cue. What's the routine? The worship music plays. And once it plays, I begin to pray in other tongues. And what's the reward? I feel energized. I feel powerful. I feel like, where is that devil? Let me slap you when I wake up. So that's the reward, and that's what it makes me feel good. So you must incorporate the cue. And I even saw this. I actually used it practically for myself. Okay, I will share the link. I will share the link to the YouTube video. It's a 1-hour worship video, and it's just so beautiful. So there's a departmental store I go to. That departmental store has the groceries inside and has the restroom outside, and I really like their turkey. But every time I go to buy groceries, I'll find myself buying turkey. I'm like, I don't know if you get like, but I didn't plan to buy turkey. So I'm like, how do I? So I said, let me try this queue. Let me try this queue routine. So it became a routine. Once I go in through the left door, you know, you go in and come out to the exit. So when you come to the exit, you must pass the front of the restaurant to go to the car. So it's like the queue is, you see departmental store, you go in. The routine, you shop and come out. So the queue also is also the restaurant, the smell of the food as you're coming out. So I'm like, this today is turkey. So you know, to break that habit, I had to eliminate the queue, which was that restaurant. So instead of coming out, when I came out, instead of going like this, I went to like turn and it worked. I just like I drove away. I don't have turkey. I know that sounds, you know, simple, but it's so powerful. It's so powerful. That's one way to incorporate how to use technology, use accountability. People in your office, your friends, people you're accountable to, mentors, coaches. This is a powerful way to incorporate for consistency. And then please, when you fall back, yes, okay, yes. And then when you fall back, please start again. Let me even address this. I know that we are not in a spiritual meeting, but let me address this because the devil also uses this to rob us of experiences with God. So have you noticed that when you don't pray for one day, you don't pray for a second, you'll be like, I've not prayed. You'll be like, I've not prayed and I'm rushing. The way to bring back your prayer life is to pray. There's no other way. Complaining won't bring it back. Talking about it won't bring it back. Nothing will bring it back except you pray. But I discovered that we're trying to do every other thing except the prayer. Yes. We want to read about how to revive your prayer life. We want to read about encounters for prayer life. We want to read about want to go for program that says build up your prayer life, but you don't want to do the prayer like. I don't know if you get what I mean. So the way to pray is to pray. That's all. That's all. So
isn't it? Can I?
Yes,
can I lean into something also around consistency, right? Especially when when we are trying to break a bad habit or to build a new habit, but particularly when you're trying to break a bad habit, sometimes we need to unpack. We need to unpack the reason why. So let it not just be a case of I'm struggling with consistency. Okay. Sometimes you need to sort of unpack it. So I'll give an example. So okay, so I read the book Atomic Habits. I know that this whole cue, routine, and reward also is spoken about in Atomic Habits. And I remember when I was reading it, coincidentally, I read it with Tani then in like a book club. And when I was reading it, you know, there was a particular chapter we got to, I think it was around breaking bad habits. And one bad habit I was trying to break then was how I will be in the middle of work. So I'm working and then I pick up my phone. And this was when we're working remotely, mind you. So it wasn't even a case of, I don't want them to see me using my phone so many times. So I find myself picking up my phone and then I'm fiddling with my phone. And, you know, I started this habit of, or saying, no, I need to break this habit. I need to be able to focus at work, right? Without getting distracted. But I was struggling because even though I'm not picking up my phone, I'm not focusing until I sat back to say, okay, yes, the bad habit was picking up my phone, fiddling with my phone in the middle of work. But what is, maybe it's even a case of identifying the cue, like what is driving that habit for me? And I realized that it was simply a case of I'm working, but I mentally get stuck. So maybe I'm doing something and then I mentally get stuck. And so my brain's way of escaping the work that is in front of me. So rather than try to figure it out and say, okay, how do I unblock this work, was to look for a distraction and pick up my phone. Do you understand? So the reason why I'm highlighting this is sometimes to say that we're struggling with consistency, possibly, but unpack it. Why are you struggling with consistency? So it could be a case of wake up to pray. Is there a reason why you actually don't want to pray? Or maybe it's a habit of, I don't know, it could be anything. It could be anything, like maybe, okay, I'm trying to build a habit of staying in touch more with my mom. And so I want to call her every week, but I'm not doing that. And I'm saying, hey, I'm struggling to be consistent. But is it possible that I am actually upset with her? And that is why the habits, you know, I seem not to be able to be consistent with it, right? So when we say consistency, let's not it's very easy for us to say, hey, consistency is my issue. You know, I'm struggling to be consistent. There are times when we actually need to take a step back and you know, try to unpack, why am I struggling with being consistent? Is there something else there? You know, keep asking the why until there's no more why to answer. Why am I struggling to be, you know, with being consistent? Okay, I don't have time. Okay, why don't I have time for this particular thing? Because it's not high on my priority list. Why is it not high on my priority list? Oh, actually, you know, there's a part of me that just wants to keep my distance from my mom. Why? She did something last year that really hurts me and I have not addressed it. You figure all of that out. So you started from being consistent with the habits, and then you find out that you're actually holding a grudge. You fix that one, and you realize consistency is not even the problem anymore.
So good.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
So good, so good. So it means that sometimes consistency, can masquerade other deep issues, basically.
Yes, I mean, it's a convenient excuse, right, for why we sometimes don't do the things that we need to do as well.
So good, so good. I don't know if this answers your question. I know it was that says, what are the practical ways you can use? But some other person answered, Vera, I don't know, did it answer your question? Vera was asking, what if you struggle with routine? How do you overcome that? What if you struggle with routine? How do you overcome that? I don't know. I think we've answered that question with this, or do we need to lean more into it? I also feel like it also boils down to why. Why is it important to you? Like, I mean, if they told you, I know I'm going to say something extreme now, but if they said, you're going to lose all the money you've ever worked for in your life, if only you wake up at 4 a.m. every day and say, cowrie wise, or post something about any of all this financial whatever. Like, do you get what I mean? Or say GTB, you have been good. That way you won't lose all the money. You know that you're going to do that because something is at stake. So I feel like it still boils down to the why. Let it be powerful enough. If it's powerful enough, you would go through the rigor of routine until it becomes a habit that way. And then start small. I don't think we spoke to that. Start small. Don't bite more than you can chew. Start small. So if you're trying to incorporate a habit of, let me say, praying, don't come and say, okay, I want to pray for 3 hours when you've not prayed for 15 minutes, you know. So you want to start small. Don't say you want to save 1 million when you've not saved 100,000. I feel like, so start small and then go layer on, layer on, layer on until you become, you know, you become a master, literally. Thank you so much, Bisola. Like that was just so profound, how you explained the consistency and then now having to deal with unforgiveness and issues of the heart. Thank you so much. So, Eziaha, you are one of those few people, Leah's, layer on to become consistent. You're one of those few people. And I wrote something, and let me just say that. I think that was when Bisola was speaking or Eziaha was saying. Before I ask your question, let me just say it. So I said, if your why is not solid enough, it will not trigger the right habits and it will not yield forth exponential results. So you need a powerful why for exponential results. A powerful why will make you do the things that you never thought you could do. I'm telling you, a powerful why will better you. A powerful why would make you almost like superhuman, basically. You begin to do things that you never thought possible. You know, take on tasks that you never thought possible. So another thing when Bisola was speaking also is that we all as women, I know there are a lot of women who are on this call, we also need to develop and you know, cultivate a high level of respect for ourselves. How do you respect yourself? Like for me, I don't like people calling me over and over again for something. I take myself too seriously. That's like, as in, there's some no now. Like, you can't be calling me for some certain kind of things. Even me, I'll be embarrassed with myself. Will be disappointed in me. Me will call myself for a review meeting. Me will scold me. Me will fire me. Do you get what I mean? And that does not speak to being harsh on yourself. I just want us to elevate our self-respect. You know, it's a high level of self-respect that will make you read the mail 10 times before you send it out. It's a high level of self-respect that will make you do due diligence before you appear before a call like this. Imagine you all coming on this call and we're just saying, you know, the habits, you know. I mean, it's not even possible. Like, do you get? So I feel like we all should develop a high level of respect for ourselves. I think we have just about It's almost time. It's almost time. It's almost time. It's almost time. Yeah, it's almost time. It's almost time. So, Eziaha, there are a few people that are like you, and I'm privileged to be one of those few. So you are multi-dimensional, like in the literal word, multi-dimensional. Like you are like an octopus. You have this hand reaching out for this hand reaching out for that, this hand reaching out, and you do it so seamlessly. On the outside, it looks seamless, but I know, yes, you can say that again. She's so gifted. But what is the reason behind the gifted? That's what everybody's saying. You know, we look for us, she's very gifted. But you and I know that there are a lot of gifted people who are not at the forefront of their game. Talent is not enough. Education is not enough. Giftings are not enough. If not, there will be a lot of, it's not enough. In fact, passion, passion, when it comes to like things like habits, discipline, they outweigh giftings, they outweigh talent, they outweigh all those things. So what is it? How have you cascaded different habits, into your routine? What has made you so, come out from that place of overwhelm into the place where you're literally balling, like, and you're doing a lot, releasing exponential results, because it's possible to have exponential results and be fagged out, be burnt out, be completely overwhelmed. But there's another way you can give out exponential results, but from a place of rest. How have you done this?
I feel like you're asking two questions in one. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
layer on what Ezine said about really respecting yourself. And one way that I don't only respect myself, but reinforce the respect I have for myself is the kind of people I follow. I'm brutal about the kind of people I follow, I listen to, the kind of people who have influence and access over me, who I listen to, who I watch, who I follow, because it's so easy to be distracted. It's so easy to be fragmented. It's so easy to be basic. It's easy. We don't, like you said, excellence is like Messi coming to coming to my home with the World Cup. Like just come from Qatar to Lagos here. So one, I place a very, very high value of respect for myself. I don't even, and I don't think that it's natural because some people might not know, but I'm actually very extroverted and I have a tendency to be indisciplined. That's the funny thing. But I remember when I was younger, I listened to someone who said he was very extroverted. But this example he gave, how extroverted people typically are forgetful. So we're the people that will go somewhere because you have been playing and all, you forget your key, you forget. And he has been flying around the world at the time. And he just said he's never forgotten something in a hotel room. That's massive because even organized people forget things. I mean, it's almost normal. And I realized that I have the same personality as this person. And if he was standing here to say I'm organized, I'm a scheduler, I have everything on. I just believed first of all it was really possible. Then I started to follow more people like that. So if I see someone who is just lax about and my antennas are always up, I'm brutal. I don't even think, oh, this person is giving me some benefit. No, if I realize that you're weakening a resolve that I have, I actually don't follow you. I reinforce the respect I have for myself. Because yes, I can say I have a great deal of self-respect, but I'm just following people who are very casual about their lives, who are living their best lives without any sense of intentionality, then I'll start to weaken what it is that I have. So that combination of self-respect and reinforcement, I follow the right people, I submit to the right people, I man my gates. This is the word, I'm brutal about anything that gets access to me. It's really hard. Like, it's very hard for you to get access to me. I also want to say something about just the concept of habit building. After all is said and done, there's a hard aspect to it. So let me speak to the question of I don't like routines. The truth is that we're all humans, we're all beings of routine. All of us. Is a routine to put the toothpaste on your toothbrush, brush your teeth, drink the water and gargle with the water and spit out. It's a routine when you pick up your sponge and your soap and you take your bath. It's a routine to cook. We all are creatures of routines. So there's no way that, so it's now that there's a place for discipline. This is just who we are as adults. At some point, you're going to have to do the hard thing, discipline yourself to do the hard thing. And like Dr. Ezine said, you can start small, but make sure you don't stay small. Just continue to build on it and build on it and build on it. And honestly, I love that it's a new year, because the new year gives us a certain level of hope and excitement and joy and momentum. So just imagine that every day you're picking something new, something little to build on, something little, something little. And then even when you don't feel like it, you just force yourself. There's just that part. We don't all feel like, I don't always feel like doing everything that I want to do, but there are just some times that you're like, I respect myself. A very high level of self-respect. And again, you treat yourself. If you keep disrespecting yourself, you don't even take yourself seriously again, and forget about what anybody is doing to you. The worst person to disrespect you is you. I never want to disrespect myself. I always want to. So beyond what anybody is saying, I have my own standards, and I'm like, I'm going to keep to those standards, even when it's hard, even when it's not hard. Again, the whole example of overwhelm and all is the same thing. I don't give people unusual access when they're extremely overwhelmed, no matter the results they have. Once I see that it's at a high cost, they're stressed, they're this, I can respect your results, but you're not the person that I'm giving active followership to, which is why I love people like Joyce. I'm very intentional. I search them out, then I follow them. I ask the right questions. And if I don't have access to asking them the right questions on my own, I formulate the right questions and I leave my antennas up. As I listen to them, I find the answers that I'm looking for. Yep, that's it.
Awesome. So good. What? So good. She said she's brutal. Like when Eziaha was saying, I just imagine her in a military cantonment. It's like, let's see. If you are anything short, I'm not giving you audience, I'm not following you, because we become what we see. If you see something long enough, you just become it. Like you just become it, basically. And thank you so much. That's just so profound. And that speaks to having the right people speaking to your life, having the right people that you're listening to. How bad do you want it? I discovered something. A lot of people say they want change in their life, but truthfully, they don't want to do what is required to see change in their life. So they just have a desire, but that is not backed by a powerful resolve, to get the job done. And it just keeps being a dream. I have this person who keeps telling me every time I maybe post something on my WhatsApp, like, how do I do it? How am I doing it? How are you doing it? How do I? It's funny, but I said I had a coaching, a webinar, I think about 1 month ago. So I said, don't worry. How did you do? It was a post. She was asking me a question. I said, don't worry. All these things will be answered in this. Make sure you register. When it came out, I sent her the link. I think about 1 week or 7 or 10 days after, I said, okay, were you in the room? She said, I've not even registered. So, I've moved. A lot of people don't like their lives, but they don't want to do anything about it. And that's because we have become too accustomed to, renegading on our duties and let's say, I don't even know what word to use, sharing our responsibilities with others. And it's also the African culture. Don't worry, I will pray for you. Don't worry, I will do this for you. Nobody owes you anything. Really, after your mother has even given birth to you, she really, if you check it well, doesn't owe you anything. So the earlier you begin to take responsibility for your life and grow your self-respect, because I feel like it can be grown. It can be grown, the better for you. So please, as we enter the new year, please, I hope you're taking all your notes, and I hope you're applying, because even me, who is manning this call, I have my notes full. I really do have my notes full. And my next question goes to Bisola. When we talk about exponential results, we're talking about new results. So no matter how good 2022 has been, there is room for more. So we are not saying your 2022 was not exponential. Neither are we saying it was. We're just saying that whatever your 2022, whatever you achieved, whatever you did, there's something better that you can achieve in 2023. And I also discovered that whenever you want, the fastest way to really see change, the fastest way to break into the new is to bring in new knowledge. It has happened for me over and over and over again. Every time I collide with new knowledge, and I discipline myself to sit with that new knowledge for the required gestation, because there's a required gestation. You don't stumble on new knowledge. No, you intentionally go to look for new knowledge. And when you find it, you don't just take a bit, you sit there until the gestation period of that new knowledge, you become the new knowledge and the new knowledge becomes you. Then you hit an eureka moment, you break into the new.
Richard.
I'm not saying, please, I hope I'm not speaking Greek, and don't even think I'm telling you something that has not happened in my life. I'm telling you something I've seen over and over and over and over again. So, Bisola, my question is to you, what is the place of personal development? What is the place of an intentional, radical search for knowledge that aligns with the gaps in our life to elicit exponential results in the new year? And can personal development, can we habitualize it, as it were?
And yeah, Dr. Eziaha, I think that's like really a powerful question, right? And the way I'll choose to answer it is that when I think about exponential results, the first thing is the being before doing, right? So you literally have to become that person that can birth those results or that can achieve those things. I cannot say that the result I'm looking to, so maybe I'm trying to get a promotion next year, for example, I'm trying to write a book or something next year. I literally have to, first of all, become the person that can, get that promotion or that can stay in that new role that I'm aspiring towards. I need to become that person who can be an author before I can actually do it. So how do you become without personal development? How do you become without growth? How do you become without acquiring and applying new knowledge, right? I see Jane say, I hear preparation. Indeed, right? Because that preparation process is what allows you to be before you do, right? So in very simple terms, that is the place of personal development. Personal development helps you to, so even if you say, I want to leverage my strength, right? Personal development allows you to take your skills, your strength, your talent. It allows you to take it to school and, finish it, shine it and take it to a new level. So yes, maybe everyone tells you, oh my goodness, you speak so well, right? So you naturally, you speak well. Personal development causes you to, go and sit with, I think I saw Damilola Busari on this call. You go and sit with Damilola Busari, who is literally a coach, to say, a communications coach, to say, hey, please, I want to get better at making presentations. That's what personal development does, so that you become that person who they would invite for a TED talk, which is now the exponential results, right? So without a doubt, you need to be able to collide with new knowledge. But first of all, you don't want to be that person who is all over the place. They say they're doing this webinar, you're there. This person is setting up this coaching, you're there. You need to be very clear on what you need part-time, right? So for example, and Eziaha, we had this conversation. I know what I need for next year. So I know who my teachers are. So I know that there are certain people, no matter how much I love them, right? No matter how much I respect them, if they say they have a program next year or they have this coaching call or something, chances are very high that I will not sign up, because that's not the knowledge gap that I'm looking to close next year. So it's always very important part-time that what do I need in this current season? What gap am I looking to close? What strength am I trying to build? What am I trying to get clarity on? What is the thing that is going to help me the most? And then you go after it. So it's that case of literally identifying your teachers. Even the Bible tells you that our teachers will not be hidden from us, right? So for me, practically, it was praying to God and asking him, who is my teacher for 2023, or who are my teachers for 2023? And he showed them to me. So now what was the second part? About building it into a habit, right? The personal development. Okay, so God showed me who my teachers are, or he started highlighting them to me. Then it became a case of, okay, what resources do they have? So they have courses, they have books, they have messages and all of that. They have podcasts, right? So I'm going through the topics that they have available and already identifying the ones that would speak particularly to the need that I have in this season. So now in the coming week, I'm off work for the rest of the year, which is great. Part of what I now need to do is, how am I going to build it into my schedule? So what am I going to be listening to? So what's going to be my focus for the first quarter of the year? What's going to be my focus for the second quarter? So per month, what am I looking to cover? So what book do I plan to read? What course do I plan to finish? When am I going to read these books, right? So I know that this year, part of what I did was I was reading a book during my commute time. Because I don't drive, right? I had that flexibility of about 1 hour every day. So rather than just being there lounging, that became the time when I was deliberate about reading a book. So I had a reminder on my phone, that says, pick up the book of the month. That was literally what the alarm was down. It would go off and then I read it and it's pick up the book of the month. And then I start to read, right? And so that's typically what I do. For the courses, I have a set time as well, the evenings where I'm like, okay, I'm spending 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, covering this. And then the other bit is you need to also know what works for you, because I thrive on accountability. And I honestly believe most people do, right? And I mean, Eziaha, isn't it, and myself, we belong to an accountability group. We hold ourselves accountable, right? So at this point, it was on the in the community that we belong to and the courses that we're supposed to be, to be reviewing. But next year is going to be holding ourselves accountable on our goals. And part of that goals is also our personal development, right? So 3 things. First, or I'm not even sure if it's more than 3, but identify what exactly you need, right, for your personal development for next year. What gap are you trying to close? Find who your teachers are for next year as well. And once you find them, please just kind of block every other thing, because there is so much happening around. And once you find them, look for the resources that are available, identify the ones that you're going to be interacting with, and then build it into your schedule. Sometimes it might mean that you need to lay certain things down. So be it, right? And some of the things that you will need to lay down are also good things. They're not bad things. Right. So you might already say, hey, but I don't spend time watching a lot of TV, or I don't spend time on social media. That's great. But is it possible that you're following so many persons that maybe you need to scale down on some so that you can really focus on this? Because again, like Ezinne said, it takes a lot of intentionality. Like you have to be brutally intentional about your personal development, because nobody's going to do it for you. The world will just keep moving. And, God forbid, it's the end of 2023 and then you're looking back again and you're saying, oh my goodness, what have I done with the year, right? So yeah, let me leave it there.
So good. Eziaha, do you want to add something to that? Because this is our final question. Okay, that's it. I mean, it's so good. It's so good. And you know what I hear you say every time you speak, I'm hearing other things. I'm hearing a high degree of self-awareness. Like, if you don't know where you have gaps, you don't know what to pursue. And that's why it still boils down to knowing you, studying you, dating you, understanding you. Like I always say that I have this framework that goes like self-awareness, self-mastery, self-deployment, self-actualization, self-mastery, self-deployment, self-actualization. I think there are 5 steps. So like, if you don't know you, you can't deploy you. If you don't deploy, you can't master you. If you can't master, you can't deploy you. And you cannot live a fulfilling life. So you need to know exactly what you need, what you want, and then go after it. So that, and then sometimes also what you just need is clarity. And there was something I wrote, and I just want to speak to that. Exponential results. I know that for too long, whenever we talk about exponential results, we are looking for something tangible. Sometimes exponential results is not tangible, meaning that it's not a bank account that you can see received a very intimidating alert. It's not a new car. It's not a new job. It's not the birth of a child. It is something that happened in you, though intangible, yet powerful. Though intangible, yet powerful, and has the capacity to birth the physical, tangible results. So sometimes for a whole year, it can even take you a whole year, and you did not necessarily, have something. When you say, where's your results? And people are like, I did this, I did that. And the result is that you became a better person. You became more disciplined. You became more self-aware. You are clear about what you want. You are brutally, what was that thing Eziaha put? Brutally ... with yourself, as it were. So I just want to say that, because, as we enter the new year, sometimes when people start coming out with results in the first quarter, like, look at my life. Why am I like this? Just look at me. Every time the world is moving past me. No. The world is moving very much in you. Like, you are a snowball. Like, you are building momentum. You are building capacity. You are building foundation that will carry the weight of the external results that you are definitely going to acquire. And so I want to really encourage you to give yourself to personal development and create a habit around that. That's like a no-brainer. You must do that. And for that, I don't know if you have any question, please put that. We've come to the end of this webinar. I know there are a lot of things we could weigh into.
So there's a question in the Q&A, and for some reason, so
This is a whole coaching. This question is
I'm
heavy.
almost inclined.
This question is heavy. This question is heavy. How do you identify your seasons? It's a very heavy question. Like, it's a whole coaching call altogether, but it still boils down to that thing we're talking about. You need to be somebody who studies yourself, studies patterns. If you're not journaling, if you're not writing what's happening to you, you will not know when you break into a new season. I'm telling you. So you must study yourself. You must be a person who journals. That way you will just know as you're journaling, you know this thing happened, this has come again, and it's happening again. And therefore the new season is at the, and then when you start attracting, sometimes for me, I start attracting new relationships into my life. I'm telling you, that's what happens to me. New relationships. I know that no, something is about to break, and then for every time there is a beckoning for a new season. There is something that you must do to break out of the old into the new, because the new season will only create awareness, but the onus lies on you to steward the season that you're in to break into the new. So I know it sounds very ambiguous, but trust me, you would need to, it's a whole coaching, now, like, is how you understand? This is like coach 1, module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 modules to understand the science of seasons. But just know, if you're a Christian, you will need to be praying. This is one of my favorite prayers. Give me eyes that see, give me ears that hear, give me a heart that understands and is quick to obey. On journey, oh good, she has a webinar on journey, so you may want to look into that on your journey. On journaling, yes, she did, and that was such a powerful webinar. So I don't know if Coach E would be willing to share her resource with the people on this call, the journaling resource for people who want to journal, but journaling will help you recognize if you're coming into a new season. It will do a lot for you. Then I said, if you're a Christian, please just, this is my favorite prayer point. Give me eyes that see, give me ears that hear, because when you come into, the worst thing that can happen to somebody is to come into a new season or come into the neck of the next and not know that the person is in the neck of the next. Like, it's such, and it just goes past you like that. It's such a very heartbreaking experience. So questions, please, questions. I think we just have about 5 minutes. We have already overshot time, but if you have questions, just give us questions so that we can move. Okay, yes, we will, so that we can move. And there is a way to leverage a season to enter the next. There are things to do. They are buttons to press, literally, to enter the new. So there's a whole lot. While we are bringing our questions, I also want to let you know, I have, for the new year, I have a coaching program called the Unleash Your Greatness Coaching Program. Please bring in your questions so that we can ask that. Okay, she's put it in. Eziaha, if you can help me just type in that link to that coaching program, I'll be grateful. I don't know if you have it. I think you can check for it for me, please. Okay, so I have a coaching program coming up on the links are already open, but it closes on December the 23rd. Classes starts in January, and it's called the Unleash Your Greatness Coaching Program that covers clarity, mindset engineering, execution, purpose finder, and all those things, strength finder, all those things. Basically how to enter your year with power, how to increase your impact, increase your influence, and ultimately increase your affluence. This is such a powerful coaching program that will just help you, give you a blueprint basically for the new year. Do a work in you, create exponential results in you first, and then without fail, create exponential results for you without. So please, you would want to go register. Using the link that Eziaha had just put up. You can also share with your friends. Please, we talked about personal development, and I've made it my life's goal to make sure that everyone that comes across me is unleashing a higher dimension of themselves. And I think about 4 years ago, I used to say, oh, I'm called to help people unleash their greatness. And I changed it. I said, no, I'm called to help people unleash their greatness one version at a time, because until you die, there are different versions of greatness you must release. And if you're that person that is looking for the next version of you, no matter how awesome or no matter how, simple your previous version are, you want to get on this coaching program, please do click on the link. I think there's a discount for this for till December the 23rd until the card closes. Thank you, Damilola. Thank you, everybody. Okay, somebody put in a question. What link? What link? No, don't worry, we'll send the replay to your inboxes. How can we convert? Okay, there's a question. How can we convert intangible to tangible results? Okay, if I hear what you're saying, you're asking, how can you convert what is going on inside of you, the positive, powerful things going on inside of you, to tangible results? It's weighed in on the science of execution, because no matter how transformed you are on your inside, if you cannot convert that law of conversion, what you have on your inside, to share with the world, nobody will know the results inside of you. So it's basically hinged on the science of execution. And that's a full module in my coaching program, like a full module. I think about 4 hours of teaching on that, on the science of execution. There's a how to execute. There's a how to share your results with the world. There are habits to imbibe to be a person who, without fail, regularly unleashes results, puts out results out there. There's a whole science to it, and we cannot answer all that here. Yes, we'll drop. Okay, the YouTube playlist link. Please just hold on while I do that.
So if I'll say something while Dr. Eziaha is trying to, am I mute? Because I know I had been muted. Okay. If I say something, while Dr. Eziaha is trying to do this, I think one of the things that breaks my heart a lot, and I feel like I also saw it in this webinar with some of the questions, is that sometimes we just want an easy fix to things. So it doesn't work like that. Let me tell you, if there's somebody that you really admire the results the person has in their lives and all, just know that the person is literally investing heavy in themselves. Not everything is going to come microwave and in one meeting. Let me tell you the truth. No one meeting can change your life. It's just like, no matter how amazing one class was in university, you still need to go the whole 4 years to get a degree, or 5 years, or 6 years. So let's not drop the learning mentality when we graduate, the learning mindset, and learning habits, just because we have graduated and we have a doctorate or we have a BSc or whatever degree that it is that you have. Every day, see yourself as a student, and you are really a student of yourself. So going into the new year, if there's one habit among the many things we have shared, and you're like, okay, I want to know where to start from. For example, if you ask a question on how do I know my season, the moment Eziaha said that that's a whole course, in fact, I was just like, that's the exact answer I had in my heart. Like, some of the questions we ask, they require time to unlayer and unpack and unearth. How do I know myself? How do I know my strength? I can't sit in a meeting. You're too complicated and you are too powerful for me to just tell you in 1 hour or 1 hour, 30-minute long meeting, and I'll just exactly tell you your strength or how to know your strength. No. So going into the new year, if one of the things you're going to do would be maybe take out 30 minutes every day, get a fresh journal, and just go online and search, how do I know myself? And then you see different things come up there, whether they're telling you to do this test or they're reading, just keep taking notes, keep reading the notes. You are being a student of yourself, and it is not in vain. You might look at it and be like, it's not paying me any money, but it's going to pay you money ultimately. So we're all going to have to really be patient and not look for this quick. No, we're going to have to just slow down and calm down and just invest a lot of time in knowing yourself. You're your biggest assets, and there's no one meeting, no matter what the person promises as they promote their meeting, no one meeting is going to change your life. It will require you investing heavy time investment, and heavy financial investments too. So for example, you really feel like there's something tugging on the inside of you. Not everything is going to happen in free classes. And I know that there are some times when you're going to have to put down your money for this thing. You're going to put down your time, your money. You're going to eliminate absolute nonsense. You don't even have time for nonsense anymore. Your destiny requires time. So you put your money down. You're going to be like, I'm not going to buy that bag. I'm not going to buy that hair, but I'm going to invest in myself. Like Ezine said, not everything is going to show up in money, but ultimately it will. Ultimately, it so will. So let us just become excited about learning about ourselves, because if your job required that you were supposed to read this whole book and read, you would do it because you know your job is going to pay you at the end of the day. But you're thinking, oh, what? It's not a big deal. You're a big deal. And we must all elevate our perception of ourselves. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Eziaha. That's like that's such a way to end this call. That's such an awesome way to end this call. That's such an awesome way. Nkem, I don't know if you've seen the right link. Nkem, has she seen that? She said it was wrong. I put in the right one. Please let me know if you've seen it. Nkem Ude Deokoro. Thank you so much, Eziaha. Everybody, please just say a big thank you to Coach E. Thank you to Bisola. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Kim, let me know if you've seen that.
Ezine.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. God bless you. So we've come to the end. We've come to the end. We've come to the end. So we'll see you again. Maybe we'll do this one more time, next year, by God's grace. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tani, my friend, my new friend. Thank you, Tani, my new friend. Nkem, you didn't answer me. Is Nkem still on?
Let me check.
Thank you so much, Tani. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ezine. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Eziaha. God bless you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, that's good.
Okay. Have you ended the recording?
No, just end the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.